Good morning. Today I'm joined by Umar Al Ashi, who's the founder and CEO of Urent, an app that's geared to take advantage of the shift in urban mobility trends. Umar, welcome.
Hello.
Great having you with me today. Um, you and I have done some work together in the past around the go-to-market and funding rounds that you're busy with for Urent.
Mhm.
But I think maybe just give us some background on what got you into the space. It's mobility and it's cars and that sort of thing. So give us some context of what got you into the space.
Sure. So, first off, let's start off with the fact that I was born and raised in Dubai. I'm Palestinian originally with a Canadian passport. So, continued my studies in Toronto. I did software engineering,
Okay.
and I did my master's in entrepreneurship and leadership. But growing up, the only obsession I had was cars. So, like
Mm.
anything to do with the automotive space was something that just mesmerized me, and it's something that I was always drawn to. But if I want to go back and basically see what made it click for me to go ahead and build Urent, the startup, is the fact that when I first got my driver's license, was in Toronto.
Yeah.
It was the exciting part came around, and it was I can rent a car now, and I can, drive fast cars and rent fast cars. So
Mm.
on the hunt for one, I stumbled across an application called Turo at the time. I mean, they're still around. They're unicorn by now, but Turo was the first peer-to-peer car sharing app that was the first to ever launch. So it was the first concept to deliver a private vehicle sharing platform. So private individuals get to list their own personal vehicles for rent. And the cool part was the fact that you could rent older cars. So, like in the rental game, as you know, there's a 4 year rule. So the car cannot be older than 4 years. Otherwise, it cannot be registered as a rental.
Okay.
So with Turo, someone who had a 2014, 2013, 2012 Carrera Porsche could list it for rent. So it was just my first couple of experiences using that platform just clicked in my head, and I was like, you know what? Something like this should exist in a country like the UAE, especially in Dubai.
Okay. And why is that? I mean, that you there was nothing of the sort here at the time, or is
I
there?
don't think it was nothing of the sort, but I think there was nothing in the region that was delivering the same experience. So the cool part
Okay.
about it, and if we want to go back to the sharing economy, which is Airbnb being the
Yeah.
leading client in the space.
Right.
Airbnb, there's a lot of people who tend to be drawn towards using Airbnb versus using booking.com, and why is because they have the ability through interface, through user interface, user experience, which is core today. They have the ability to interact with the homeowner, develop a relationship with the homeowner, and communicate directly with the homeowner. There is no middleman involved that's
Yeah.
gonna be fluctuating any of the terms. Uh,
Mm.
you get what you see. What you see is what you get. This is the whole concept of marketplaces in the sharing economy space. So it was the fact that I could see profiles, I could see rating systems, I could engage with the owner, I could negotiate the price with the owner, I could negotiate the duration with the owner. There's nothing that is a limitation in terms of getting what you want from the service itself. And
Yeah.
it's the fact that Airbnb was the first to do it in real estate, but then no one has ever really done it in mobility until tour companies like Turo get around, came about.
Okay. And how long ago was this? When did you start up your rent?
So I finished my master's in 2017, flew back to Dubai. 2018 is when I founded the company. So I think 6 months after returning, I was supposed to get into corporate. I was supposed to work with one of the big fours in leadership programs for engineers.
Okay.
But um, I don't know, something in me just told me, maybe destiny had different plans for me,
Hmm.
and I didn't waste time. I was able to, with my expertise and experience, I was able to build what I thought the app would look like as a prototype, in my free time, in my master's, in the duration of doing my master's.
Okay. And how's the reception been in the market of your app?
It was, I'll tell you how it started versus how it is. Now, the thing is, if we just talk generally, startups, 2% of startups exit, and maybe even less make it past seed or Series A, in
Mm.
precise. But when I first started, there was no regulatory term, or there was no license that existed in the UAE for that activity. So the only
Oh wow.
market license that existed was a buy and sell, which is like Dubizzle and these platforms where you can buy and sell all kinds of things. That was the only marketplace license available. So when I approached the RTA and told them I had a plan to create a marketplace where vehicle owners, business owners in the or the mobility rental space could create profiles listed on the app, it was difficult to get their attention, or for them to take me seriously in the beginning.
Right.
So that was the biggest barrier of entry. Is It took me a year and 6 months to basically get them convinced to issue a license for me to operate in this space. So that was the biggest
Wow.
barrier of entry. Yeah,
Hmm.
but yeah.
Okay. And then the market adoption. I mean, are people enjoying the fact that they now can take their spare car and put it in the pool somewhere, and people can rent their car, and it's like a passive income for them, right?
Correct, but that's not exactly what I did. So I'll tell you what I did. So while using Turo, in my
Yeah.
time in Toronto, being one of the earliest adopters back in 2011. So one of the I remember their SMS marketing campaigns when they had less than 10,000 users. I've monitored that startup very closely over the next 5 years. So by the time I graduated, I've studied every pivot they've done, everything that didn't work in the business, so on and so
Oh
forth.
wow.
So basically, you need to understand something. Consumers do not
Hmm.
care about the fact that it's a private owner or a business that's listing his cars on the platform. They
Okay.
care about one and only one thing, is the fact that they are basically engaging with the vehicle owner. They are getting what they see in front of them, and the fact that there's full transparency and full coordination within the platform in terms of anything they needed, whether it's negotiating the price, whether it's basically communicating with the vehicle owner. Let's just say the car isn't exactly what they want, the owner can send them other options within the app of what he has in his fleet.
Hmm.
So it's just the experience, they call it the peer-to-peer experience. That's what was the core focus for me. In the UAE, there's a lot of regulatory, basically, like regulatory things that you need to do to list a car that's privately owned, because it's not as easy as you think. Usually when you list a vehicle, whether it's your personal car or not, you have to commercialize the vehicle in the UAE so that you can get commercial insurance. Otherwise, there's nothing stopping you from listing your car with me on Urent as a private vehicle. But if your insurance finds out that this car has been rented out, your insurance has every right to opt out of any coverage. So this
Ah.
is where we try to protect people. Is It's not about that it's illegal, it's the fact that it does not play to your advantage as an asset owner by any means. So, back to your adoption point,
Mm.
it was very difficult the first year to even convince businesses, let alone individuals, to use our platform. They saw me as a competitor. I get it, but at the same time, when I was able to sell them the fact that, hey guys, you're running a business. You're paying overhead, you're paying rent, you're paying employees, you're paying drivers to run this operation. let alone you are struggling to come up with marketing funds to boost your fleet. What I'm
Hmm.
offering is a commercial dashboard, a fleet management system, a login username and password for you to log in, list your vehicles, set your parameters, go live, and get inquiries on the app within 5 minutes with zero dirhams out of your pocket. All I'm taking is my 15% commission off of
Hmm.
every total trip. But here's the twist: vehicle owner tells me, Omar, listen, this car I want to list for 400, then I would list it at 400 plus 15%. So it comes up to like 465, let's just say. So 465 is what I would list it as to make sure that it's not coming out of the pocket of the vehicle owner. So there's
Right.
no convenience. And what they realized very quickly is we have some businesses who decided they no longer needed an office. They could sit at home, manage their entire fleet using our fleet management system and commercial dashboard, which is a
Mm.
huge game changer. This was the goal for me. The goal was not to only deliver a marketplace, but deliver a tool that's going to give renters the ability to interact and build relationships with who they're renting from, and as well as deliver a platform that's going to help these SMEs or businesses shift from doing business traditionally to digitally using our platform.
That's amazing. So basically, these rental companies can go to Urent and basically digitalize their whole business on your
Correct.
platform. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Once they start using my platform, once they have access to the Urent solution and they have their own credentials,
Yeah.
then really all it is for them is accepting bookings, receiving inquiries, and delivering vehicles. That's all they do. And the best part is there's an in-app wallet, so the payments are made towards your rent, and then every week uh, there would be payment disbursements to the vehicle owners.
Okay. Now, back to the private citizens that want to rent out their cars. You say there's an issue potentially around the insurance. I mean, are you having conversations with insurance companies to kind of try and alleviate that pressure?
No, I'm not. I'm not trying to fix something that's not broken. Honestly, I'm just focusing on what's working because what I'm trying to do here is deliver the peer-to-peer experience while reducing liability and risk on me as a startup. So what you don't know is Turo as a business started their business with 100% private vehicle owners only, where they turned down businesses. They told businesses you cannot list with us. Year four of their business, they were, approaching bankruptcy. They could not even afford the insurance overheads and the
Mm.
policies and the press that was denting their reputation. For example, people were using and renting cars for the wrong reasons. They were doing heists with these cars. So like, and it was all, cars that were tied to other owners. So it was a whole mess. So
Mm.
what Turo did to save their business was basically open up what they called the commercial program, where they started allowing commercial businesses to list on Turo. And what they realized very quickly is that it's a headache free, it's a cash cow for their business, because insurance, what you don't know is when it comes to vehicle rental businesses, all their cars are already insured by their own companies. And
Yes.
only role you're playing as a platform is matchmaking. You are helping them find customers. You don't have
Right.
to deal with the headache. You don't have to deal with accidents. You don't have to deal with insurance. You don't have to deal with all that. That is all tied between the owner and the renter. Once the renter receives the car from the owner, so there's a yellow piece of paper, which is insurance paper, that the customer signs on when receiving the car. As soon as that signature is on the paper, the liability is lifted off of me as a platform,
Okay.
because I don't want to get tied up in that and I don't want to get involved. I'm trying to be the platform that delivers that peer to peer experience,
Yeah.
but at the same time, play to my advantage where I'm doing what Turo did to pivot and save their business from
Hmm.
day one. So I
Okay.
started with day one, I started flooding the platform with commercial businesses.
Yeah.
And I mean, it could be my profile photo, my name, my cars. The only difference is my cars have the appropriate paperwork and
Got
registration
you.
and insurance
Got you.
list on Urent.
All right.
That's all.
Okay. Okay. So speaking of big rental companies, I believe you do have a partner that's already on your platform at one of the big rental companies. Tell us
Correct.
about that.
So you have Europcar. So the interesting part about Europcar is we've worked with Avis, Thrifty, Dollar, Europcar. Those were always great to work with because it was effortless from our end. We just, I mean, they had their own, how can I say, their own processes that they've done, and they wouldn't ever trouble you or trouble us as you rent with the logistics of the bookings. If the customer, like, let's just say the customer was expecting to receive the car at 3 p.m. and there was a delay and it's 5 p.m. now, Avis Thrifty Dollar would go ahead and upgrade the car for the customer to,
Hmm.
so that the customer does not come back to us as you rent and tell us, hey guys, the car was late. So there was
Yeah.
always a compensation. And here's the thing, implementing rating systems on the platform really makes a huge difference because you have a competitive landscape now on the app where you have people fighting for 5 stars. So
Yeah.
it's no longer a matter of just sell, sell, sell. No, people will know what other customers are writing about you as a vehicle owner. And I've even segregated it so that the host has a rating and then the vehicle has a rating. Because then the
Ah.
host can be great, the car could be poor.
Yeah.
So basically, I continue to improve the platform, believe it or not, based on criticism I receive from renters and criticism I receive from vehicle owners. If
Mm.
they see something missing or a tool that they need to help improve their experience, they throw me a message. I work on that.
Yeah. Okay. And then what is your? Do you allow any car on there, or is it kind of you have like it can't be older than 10 years or 5 years? Do you have anything like that?
In the UAE, the thing is with the UAE is as long as the car is registered under a company that allows commercial rentals, it doesn't matter how old the car is. As long
Okay.
as, here's the thing, there are people who've registered. Now the RTA is lenient in a way where, let's just say you've registered a Range Rover in 2017 as a car rental. Now, as long as this car remains under the company, then even if it's 2027, you can still renew it as a car rental.
I see.
You see what I
And then
mean? But
obviously it's on the renter's reputation and their name. If I mean they won't put a car out there in the pool that's in poor condition or whatever, because that's going to come back and bite them with the ratings, right?
of course, but the name of the game in the car rental business is 3 years you should make back the cost of the car. 2 to 3 years you make back the cost of the car. And
Okay.
then usually what people end up doing is selling that car, and that's their profit margin. So let's just say he bought a Range Rover for 300,000 dirhams. Within 2 to 3 years, he's made back the 300,000 dirhams, looking at 20% a year in depreciation. Now you're looking at the car valued at 160, 170,000 dirhams. He goes ahead, sells that car, that's his profit. Goes
Uh-huh.
ahead, buys a brand new Range Rover with the 170,000 as a down payment, and then
Oh, wow.
finances the rest based on the income that this car generates over time.
Hmm. That's a neat model.
Oh, it is. And if it's done correctly, it's a money making model. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people in the game who tend to think it's a copy paste mechanism, but no, there's
Mm.
I know companies here in the UAE. I mean, I know pretty much all of them, but really the best ones or the leading ones are the ones that take their business very, very, very seriously, and it's
Yeah.
doesn't matter what time it is. And these are, you have to understand, like, this is what people don't know. The car rental business is a 24-hour a day, 7 day a week business. There is no we are closed. There is no
Yeah.
come back tomorrow. You need to be there. all the time, and us as platforms, as a dispute arm, because that's what also Airbnb plays in terms of a role between them as a mitigator. Like there's something that we try to solve it between them, and if we cannot, then the owner can take it up amongst himself to take it elsewhere with the renter. But with us, our we have to also cater for that. So if it's a 24-hour, 7-day a week business, we need to have staff or
Mm.
customer support that are operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because customer does not. Because we've had, for example, I'll tell you how different scenarios. We'd have someone come in, fly in to Dubai at 4 a.m., booking a Range Rover for a month. That's a big booking. You're talking about 45,000 dirhams a month, and that's a good revenue ticket for us. Now, individual lands, calls the vehicle owner is not picking up,
Mm.
to be found. Now, here's why we collect payments as you rent versus having them collect payments directly. Because what I'm able to do now is phone up another host, or one of my customer support reps would phone up another host of which we know has the same car, maybe in a
Yeah.
different, and then we'd go like, we have a booking for you, 1 month, this is the cost, lock it in. He's now delivering a car. We have to shift now this revenue from this host to this host purely because he didn't pick up the phone. And
Mm.
yes, you could lose a booking that way, but this is why my team's there, because nothing stops the customer from going on Google reviews and giving me a 1 star on a
Yeah.
mistake that the owner has done and not
Of
me. So
course.
customers
Yeah.
don't, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
and I've gotten heavy hits from customers who blamed me for something I really wasn't involved in. But here's the
Oh,
thing: that's the name of the game, and you need
it's the name of
to
it.
use that to refine your business.
Yeah. Omar, just zooming out a little bit. I mean, what trends are you seeing in terms of urban mobility? Where's mobility as a sector going? In where we are.
Mobility as a sector, look, here's the thing. There's different factors that are playing into the mobility space right now. Main one is inflation. So when inflation is going up and up, and it'll continue to rise, obviously due to lots of governments printing a lot of money to support or basically cover up debt, or just the increase in global debt in
Yeah.
general is leading to an increase in inflation. And when there's
Right.
an increase in inflation, the purchasing power declines. So you find less people buying cars just because it does not make sense buying cars now. They're just too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And what that drives individuals to do is rent. And this is one of the blessings in disguise that I've encountered. I launched in the midst of COVID. So, end of 2020, as soon as they lifted the lockdown, I launched my business. And at that time, people really shrugged their shoulders when they're like, yeah, well, I don't know if I want to receive a car and end up getting COVID from a previous customer. That's how my business was perceived in the first few months.
Oh wow.
Enough, what ended up happening is the prices of cars started skyrocketing 6 months after lockdown was lifted, purely because of shortage of chips that were being shipped from China to manufacturers so
Hmm.
that they can basically manufacture and sell cars. So there was a significant delay and shortage of cars, uh,
Yeah.
which led to the increase of prices of these cars. So what ended up happening is now people are like, oh wow, my car was worth 100,000 6 months ago. Now it's worth 200. Let me sell my car. I'll use that 100 to rent a car for the next 2 years until I
Hmm.
figure my life out. Because at the time, cash was king. So we rode that wave successfully.
Okay.
But also now what's happening now is you're reaching levels where cash has become king, and more than ever before, to where people are shying away. Especially when I tell you people, I'm telling you middle class, lower class, semi upper class, and there's also the upper classes that are, you call them the elites, who don't want to own anything, just for
Yeah.
personal or privacy. They just don't want to own anything, so
Right.
they stick to the rental. So we are noticing that due to inflation, and we don't see that slowing down, and due to the fact that obtaining wealth is becoming more and more difficult over the
Mm.
years, the car rental sector will continue to boom, at least within the next 3 4 years. The only difference is when you look at, for example, EV, electric cars, being a big wave. um, we just have to accustom or tweak our business so that we offer what the market is offering. So, for example, Tesla Cybertrucks are hot in the market now. We need to make sure that we have Cybertrucks on the platform for people to rent. That's the
Hmm.
only thing that we need to be up to pace with where the demand is. But
Yeah.
in terms of rent, that's not slowing down anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, I also saw a trend somewhere that urban mobility is increasing. So sorry, urbanization. Urbanization is picking up. I mean, I saw a stat that says in 2018, urbanization was around 55% globally, and they're forecasting that by 2050 it will rise from 55 to 68%. That's a huge jump. I mean, that's so you're going to have more congestion, you're going to have more people in cities, and so on and so on. And with everything becoming an app, I think, I mean, the way I look at your platform is kind of is mobility as a service, right? Like
It
you
is.
you kind of you pay a subscription a month for something, and this just happens to be your mobility. And so, I mean, do you think that's a fair kind of assessment of what the market looks like, or it's going to look like?
Yes, and here's the thing. I built my application in house, and this space is more or less called mobility tech. So mobility tech is any sort of tech that can digitalize anything in the mobility space. So
Mm.
with Urent, for example, our source code, our backend is very extensive, to where I'm able to pivot my business almost into anything you need, anything you want. So we offer, as you know, what differentiates Urent from the rest of the world, and what I'm proud to say is still the only marketplace offering what it offers in the world, is the fact that I've opened up 8 vehicle categories on the platform. So we offer cars,
Yeah.
yachts, jet skis, ATVs, chauffeur service, limousine service, and just recently added helicopters. Now, the
Hmm.
funny thing is, I never intended on having helicopters until I got a call from a company who does helicopter rentals.
Oh
Like,
wow.
hey, we just saw your application. We just stopped by your website.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Can we list our helicopters on the platform? I was like, you know what?
Oh wow.
Good. But I just need to understand how your business works. So set
Yeah.
up a meeting, understand how their business operates, go
Right.
back to my tech team and tell them, guys, this is how their business operates. How
Hmm.
can we digitalize their business? All right, so they don't work on daily rentals, they work on packages. So we're going to have to create an API that will display all their packaging rates so that the customer gets to select the day, the time, and the package he'd like to enjoy. So
Hmm.
that's the beautiful thing about tech, is we are able to build almost anything
Mm.
that that could ease the way anyone in mobility tech operates, uh,
Yeah.
or sorry, in mobility rentals operates, by simply offering them a digital platform to operate from.
Mm.
Uh, for example, we do plan on adding scooters and bicycles. And what's going to be cool about it is it will be open for private individuals as well. So you, let's just say, We'll stop by Dragon Mart, buy yourself five bicycles, five scooters, rent these bicycles for 300 a week or 400 a
Yeah.
week when the bike costs you a total of 800 all in, and you can start monetizing them. So that is the beautiful thing about Urent is we can add and remove whatever we want purely because we own the software, we've built it from scratch.
Hmm.
It's not built based on a library of code that's been outsourced.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah,
Uh,
it makes sense. Yeah. And you're able to pivot to, whatever the market demands at that point, because I think that's an important consideration. Seeing what's happening with self-driving. We don't know what dynamics that's going to bring
mm.
into the equation. If now people can buy 10 Teslas and they want to put them on your platform, how does that kind of if the technology now drives itself, that might bring things. I mean, maybe you have an opinion on that, but that could be an interesting use case as well.
It is, and here's the thing, which is I think we'll touch base on this a little later. But back to Europcar. So what we did with Europcar just demonstrates our capabilities as a platform. So
Yeah.
Europcar got acquired by VW Group in 2022, mid
Mhm.
2022. VW Group called up Europcar. They're like, listen, it's a $3.8 billion deal. Let's close it. We now own it. So it was sold to VW Group for 3.8 billion and
Yeah.
then rebranded to Europcar Mobility Group. Now, when you see a rebranding of such, you can immediately tell that now they want to digitalize Europcar. They want to kind of help this 75-year-old company that's been operating traditionally to start operating online. So
Yeah.
where was their weak point? Where weak point is they didn't know how to go about it technically. So when they saw my platform, they're like, okay, how can we utilize your platform to digitalize our fleet?
Yeah.
So come about and start, thinking about what ways we can implement a change to their current model. And the only way it would have worked was through a full API integration between Europcar and Urent. Um, Much easier said than done, but it was one of these challenges where their approach was, hey, we've tried to do full integration with two other startups. They weren't successfully able to do it. We intend to do it one last time with you. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, then we're just going to go ahead and build our own.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, let's go ahead and start. What was supposed to take 3 months took around 7 months to complete,
Wow.
purely because they had a very outdated backend, outdated to today's technical standards. But I mean, I took it a challenge upon myself, and we successfully completed the integration. But what that does is, I don't know if you've played around with it in your free time, but when you go on our website and you go to access global fleet, you will be able to basically rent any car registered in Europcar in any country that Europcar is operating in, which is
Hmm.
170 countries. So what we did was a successful mirroring operation where now anything that's in their operating system is mirrored in our operating system,
Yeah.
but in an improved UI. So,
Hmm.
for example, you select Canada, you put Toronto, it will in real time pick up where cars are available in stations in Toronto, Europe car stations around Toronto.
Hmm.
So, today you may open the app and see three stations.
Yeah.
Tomorrow you open the app and see one station. So,
Right.
it's purely picking up information that's being pushed from Europcar's backend towards our front end.
Right.
Uh, what we're doing is we've minimized the steps it takes to book a Europcar. With us, it's a three simple steps to book a
Mhm.
car. And the best part about it is we're acting as their digital transformation arm, meaning you as a consumer. And here's where I really thought how I can make this work to my advantage without having to deal with the headache of wiring large sums of money between me and Europcar every month.
Yeah.
So my commission rate is 15%.
Right.
I then agreed with Europcar and said, listen, give me a list of B2B prices, discounted rates. I will list all the vehicles with a 15% markup in the market. Meaning, if you as a consumer come on the app and book a car for a month from Europcar and it's 1,000 euros, let's just say for a month,
Hmm.
you are only paying 150 euros, which is 15% of the total amount, to successfully book the vehicle on the Urent app. And
Hmm.
then upon receiving the car, you then pay the 85% to Europcar directly once you collect the car from them. What that
Ah, okay.
is I'm getting my referral fee without having to deal with what happens next.
Yeah.
I'm pocketing my profits by finding customers for Europcar. And in the case that the customer cancels, there's a 15% cancellation fee in all cases if it's under 24 hours.
Right.
As most of the time, customers who miss a booking or are late aren't too bothered about 15% versus 100% of the trip fee.
Sure.
So it puts me in a safe spot where all I have to do is run global campaigns as Europcar's mobility or digital transformation arm. And
Mm.
if you do an average ticket of 40 euros, just 40 euros, okay,
Yeah.
that's what I'm receiving of like a 15% of a total trip is 40 euros.
Hmm.
If I'm just landing 1,000 bookings a month, which is a very conservative number, given
Yeah.
we have 117 countries and 150,000 cars, you're looking at 40,000 euros of pure profit.
Hmm.
No cost, no transfers, nothing.
Right.
Your car deals with the customer and what they owe them. I
Hmm.
take my commission and I carry on with my life.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a very clever way because that reduces your overhead as well to now have to reconcile accounts and so on. So that's a good way to kind of set that up and makes it scalable. You
And
know.
this is what honestly I'm looking at doing moving forward with all companies because the rates of transfers and bank transfers and chargebacks and all that headache is just too much.
Yeah.
And I did the math. Believe it or not, I did the math. In 1 year, just through bank transfer fees,
Hmm.
spent around 34,000 dirhams in bank transfer
Hmm.
fees,
That's
which
insane.
is unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's unheard of. So now I think the best approach to do is collect my commission from the consumer and have the and also this gives you a customer. It's convenient for the customer because I'm booking the vehicle knowing that I've only paid 15% of the cost.
Yeah.
If it happens, I'm okay with losing 15%. But
Mm.
if I go and pick up the car and I don't like the car, I don't have to pay the 85%. I can contact Urent. Urent can find me another host. You know what I mean? Either way, this 15% is a markup or an
Yeah.
upsell that I'm doing that I'm not taking off of anyone's pocket.
Right. So when do they pay that the balance then is only after they've seen the car as when
So
they go and
this is what I'm working on now. Initially, it was Urent collects full payment,
yeah.
rent to receive car from the owner, and that's that. Now, just so that I could refine the business, reduce cost, what would happen is you would pay a reservation fee of
Okay.
15%.
Okay.
What that will do is it's no different than booking the car. The car is booked, it's booked for you. But the only difference is you get to pay the full amount once you're satisfied with the car you're receiving from the owner.
Hmm. Okay. Makes sense. I mean that kind of spreads the risk for the user, for the renter
Correct.
to yeah. And
Because
then
then
also it keeps the car owner on their toes. Like, okay, I've got to make sure that delivery customer experience, is really good and the customer's happy. Otherwise, they can just go back to Urent and go get another car, right?
another thing is the fact that what we've encountered is not every car rental business is ethical. Just keep that in mind. So
Mm,
what we've noticed is we would be invoiced by companies every week, and let's just say we have the total earnings is 17,000 for a company. Then
Yeah.
a company would send me an invoice for 24,000.
Mm.
So there's always discrepancies and like adding more cash and trying to finesse us off of more money. So I want to also avoid that headache because it gets into disputes and gets ugly, and it's something that I don't want to deal with. So doing that 15% approach will give them no room to kind of go
Mm.
about. There'll be no more invoicing. They'll
Yeah.
just be, I got my 15%. You got your customer. What happens next is on you, my friend.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's much cleaner that way.
Yes.
Omar, you mentioned to me a while ago that you've got a big announcement that's coming, and I'm very excited to hear about that. So you signed a big deal with somebody. So tell us about that.
Okay, so back to what I was telling you earlier, my focus with this business was purely the technology that was around it.
Yeah.
So, long story short, I've gotten to the point, obviously, in the early stages where I was struggling with getting licensed by the RTA.
Yeah.
Once they've granted me the license, and I'm very thankful for that, and over the years monitoring my progress, they started looking at Urent as something that is adding tremendous value to the public emirate of Dubai, and it's something that they want to adopt as a government arm for the public emirate of Dubai. And what they came about was basically a white label contract, and they didn't just open it up for me. They didn't come to me and give it to me on a golden platter. No, the idea was, hey, we are opening a startup challenge, and we are basically on the hunt for the next Kareem. As you know, Kareem was one of the
Mm.
biggest Middle East success stories, being sold to Uber for 3.1 billion. And Kareem was the only startup that basically got affiliated with the RTA fully, to where the RTA was providing taxis to operate on Kareem so that they could compete with Uber. And that's
Yeah.
what eventually landed them in a spot where, they became appealable to be acquired by Uber.
Hmm.
So, long story short, what I'm trying to get to here is they were on the hunt for the next success story in the mobility space. So, obviously, 15 startups are now applying, and out of the 15 startups, I was lucky enough to be one of the selected contestants in the startup challenge.
Yeah.
It was a 1 year long elimination phase.
Oh my word.
Yeah, 1 year long elimination phase, and it was just providing back and forth paperwork, Excel sheets, documents, all that cool stuff. And it was nerve wracking because nothing was certain. There was a
Mm.
lot of rules we had to go by, and like very strict rules, especially for businesses like me who were operating in the market.
Yeah.
So basically, it was, let's say, March 2023 when the challenge opened.
Yeah.
March 2024, we were qualified to the semifinals.
Hmm.
And that was kind of the toughest part. This semifinal period went from March up until August. And towards the end, August, it was us and another company. I'm not going to mention names, but it's a very well established company that's maybe 5 to 10 times the size of my company.
Hmm.
And basically, what I was trying to say is, as Omar, I was very, I was put in a spot where I didn't even know if I had a chance or I stood a chance with them, because this is a company that's been around, and it's a company that's foreign. The mother company is worth billions. So, like, I was like, I'm fighting a whale here, and I'm like a baby shark, you know. So,
Yeah.
funny enough, September comes around 2024, that was last year, and I get an email saying that I've been awarded the
Oh wow.
contract. And the main reason was I was technically more enabled than the companies, and my technical readiness was in a better position than everyone else. I was ahead of everyone else in the game. I've already done the proof of concept. Government service that's gonna allow. Are you with me?
Yeah, there you're back. You disappeared there for a bit. Sorry. If you
No.
can maybe just go back a little bit.
Yeah, so what I was saying is the whole goal behind the white label was the RTA was trying to come up with a marketplace. They wanted to create a marketplace to allow SMEs and businesses in the vehicle rental space to go fully digital. So, exactly what I was doing.
Yeah.
Same time, to have a government service for all the tourists that are coming in and out of Dubai to use as ease, a unified umbrella or marketplace where it involved any and every method of transport that you can book or allocate, and with the potential integration of government public transport, so like the RTA bus, the tram, the metro, so on and so forth. So luckily we were awarded the contract, and that was one of the few things us as founders look. And given that I've built this startup with just over a little over $1.2 million, so
Yeah.
I've strapped this startup from the ground up. And needless to say, I have no VC backing. None of that fancy schmancy thing startups get to have and achieve
Yeah.
less than I've achieved. So I took my business with just $1.2 million. I've
Hmm.
taken it from an idea to now a business that has 100,000 users, 140,000 downloads, 15,000 completed trips,
Mm.
$3.2 million in GMV, and a government contract now that is basically going to give me, I don't want to say 100%, but a large majority of the market share in the UAE in terms of being endorsed by the government, pushed by the government, and marketed by the government. So the platform, I will not disclose the name yet, but it's gonna be public very soon. It's set to launch in the summer. I'm not gonna specify a month or a date, but
Yeah.
it's gonna be during the summer, coming summer, and there's gonna be a launching ceremony with political figures in the
Hmm.
government sector, and it's going to be something that's going to be fully endorsed and adopted by the government of Dubai for the next 5 to 10 years. So 5 years now, and then potentially renewable to 10 years. So this is, ever since I started this business, um, I've always, focused on the front end, which is how, making 15%, 20%, adding a subscription model, adding feature your vehicle, feature your profile as revenue streams. The normal marketplace revenue stream pivots that a lot of people do: add space on the website, add space on the app. But my dream was much bigger than that. I was like, I want to use my technology to be an operating system for, or a white label, or a SaaS. Basically, that's where the real money is when you start leasing your technology or utilizing your technology on large scales. And this could there couldn't be a better way to do it, because
Yeah.
if I'm able to get the government of Dubai on board and be able to successfully deliver a project on a city scale, then I could do the same approach with, you name it, cities around the world. It
Hmm.
could be the
Right.
solution that can digitalize an entire city, country's mobility tech or mobility rental space.
That's incredible. Well done. Congratulations. That's a massive, massive, massive deal that you scored
Thank
there.
thank you so much.
Uh, I'm curious. I mean, so once that platform launches, so are you saying then that all of the taxis that are in Dubai, operating in Dubai currently, will be on that platform as well, or will people be mandated to be there? Will private rental companies go on there? How did that work exactly?
Okay, so it's going to be in phases, right? It's not going to be. It's nothing. Nothing is set in stone. Initially, we're going
Okay.
to launch the platform as a platform that's going to be unifying all vehicle rental companies in the UAE, and there's 3,500 of them registered in the UAE. Give you some
Mm,
context, the numbers that I've achieved with my company were with just 140 companies on board.
okay.
Uh, there's 3,500
Yeah.
companies registered. Yes. So
Mm,
basically, it's the whole goal here is you cannot just go and enforce from day one, say everyone. No, it's going to be endorsed enough by the government so that it becomes the trusted platform for people to use. For example, you as a consumer, you no longer have to go enter your phone number to sign up, register your name, your email, UAE pass, and you're in.
mm-hmm.
Government APIs that are not just handed out or given to other businesses that will position the platform to be a trusted a choice for everyone. And at the same time, we will keep building on the platform as we go. If the RTA sees that, hey, I think we should add all public transport, which is in discussion, obviously, but again, not much I can disclose now. There's
Yeah.
no limitations to what can the platform can have or will have. It's
Mm,
just going to be a matter of what direction are we going based on the internal meetings I will have with the board of the RTA. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
So there's absolutely no limitations to where we want to go.
Mm,
We are just focused on an MVP. And keep in mind that this platform will be powered by Urent. It will be a byproduct of Urent. It will be owned and managed by Urent. So it's
mhm.
you want to call it best comparison I can give you is Uber and Uber Eats. They're both the same company, but
Yeah.
different services. It's going to be Urent and then that platform. But then you could use both. You could use any. But the only
Yeah.
difference is one is being endorsed by the government. So for me as Omar, what is a no-brainer for me is I have my main platform that I obviously tend to want to scale to KSA, but then I also have or Urent UAE or Urent Dubai will also have a byproduct that's um, running with the government, and the revenues that are recorded with this entity also fall into the balance sheet of Urent. So you can
Yes.
practically call it Urent Dubai, but it's
Right.
basically a platform that's adopted by the government.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, the RTA is doing amazing stuff. I just saw yesterday they, announced the new tunnel project with Elon Musk.
Yes.
So, I mean, there's just they're very progressive and forward-looking authority. It seems like
Oh yes.
so, and they have, they have a good reputation in the market, from what I can see. So,
Yes.
I think a platform like that, once properly launched and branded and so on, I think you're going to see a lot of adoption. Quick,
Uh, that's the goal. The goal
yeah,
is to get a lot of adoption, but at the same time, the goal is to deliver off the charts, well-rounded, perfected platform. Because as a founder, as an entrepreneur, we all think of you know making our story a success story. That's the main.
yes,
It's not getting greedy over the money, the contracts, the size of the contract. No, it's I want to be known as a guy that delivered the project up to the standards that they're supposed to be delivered, which obviously will position me to be in the spotlight to potential acquirers of my business, or
Mm.
bigger giants that will look into my business as something that they would like to have in their portfolio.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, this RTA deal is a big focus for Urent at the moment. But then, if you zoom out a little bit and you look towards the future in terms of the Urent platform itself, what is your vision there? Where are you scaling into other countries? What does that look like?
We're currently raising money, as you're well aware. We're raising around 5 million US dollars. You call it a Series A round, more or less. But what we're doing is I've positioned myself as a company now where the only thing I lack is marketing funds, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So technical, I figured that out in house at the lowest cost possible. Customer support, third party, outsource, easy, done. So all I need, and this is the plan, is to basically go into KSA, Turkey, Egypt, heavily populated yet heavily touristic or tourism infused countries
Yeah.
where I could position myself as the platform that adds value to the, basically the residents, the business owners,
Right.
and adds value to tourists who are visiting these countries. So, and
Hmm.
it doesn't take much because we're an asset-free business. We are an intangible product in a sense where we're a cloud business. So basically,
Yes.
for me to enter KSA, it would be set up an entity, get the license, populate the app, we're in the market. Easy. And for that to happen, we need money, we need funding. Now, one of the things that I will flat out say openly uh, is I've launched a very westernized product or a westernized idea in a very traditional region. So we're quite behind in terms of ideas. I mean, not so much now. I mean, we're getting quite there, but it funding in specific is very difficult. It's a full-time job. It's something that
Mm.
takes most of your time as a founder, but at the same time it's difficult to what one of my biggest challenges is that you try and sell this business in the US or in Europe. It's understood within the
Right.
first. It's like, we
Yeah.
know what you have, we like what you have.
Yes.
Here, it's just a matter of really spoon feeding the idea to
Hmm.
whether it's a VC or an investor, because they look at it and they're like, oh yeah, so like this is pretty much like XYZ, where XYZ is an aggregator, it's not a marketplace. And it's like,
Mm.
explain to them that this is an aggregator where any aggregator website will do the following: you as a consumer hop in, you are gambling by booking a vehicle because there's the or similar option. So you're booking a Toyota Corolla, you receive a Hyundai Sonata. Why? Because they think it's the same category. So, and that's subjective completely because you're booking from a business that needs to source the vehicle from another business that needs to then make sure that the customer receives. You know what I mean? So it's a B to B to C. Whereas me,
Yes.
we're skipping the middle B. It's a B to C,
Right.
completely to consumer platform.
Yeah.
And in an aggregator space, me as a business owner who's providing my cars to Booking.com, I have no insight on whether or not my cars are being booked
Hmm.
until it happens.
Yeah.
And God forbid I have a shortage of fleet or as I lose the booking.
Yeah.
So there's a delayed interaction or a delayed response there. Whereas for me,
It's live. Yeah.
yeah, it's real time. Everything's real
Mm.
time, and we have an admin panel, a dashboard that we're able to monitor chats between owners and renters. And the best part is you see chats that go about that are like, hey, I'm interested in renting this car. I know it's for 900, but my budget is for 700, and it's my dad's birthday. Can you help me out? And then you find the owner saying, just because it's your dad's birthday, I will give it to you for 700, no problem. Goes to his garage, updates the price real time, boom, sends a payment link, done. The
Oh
customers
wow.
customer is now recommending this host to four or five of his friends. Now, four or five of his friends are now renting from this owner. There's nothing
Mm.
like it, brother. There's nothing like
Yeah.
it. It's a
No.
community-based startup
Mm.
that is delivering a whole new experience that's making it fun. And just like you going to Rolex to buy a watch, you're looking at a Daytona, and then he goes like, "Oh, take a look at this Sky Dweller. This is a beautiful piece." It's a never stops ongoing process of being you appealed by this watch and this watch and this
Yeah.
watch. Same thing with us. You are going in trying to rent a Lambo. The host, and then you tell the owner, let's say, okay, it's listed for 2,400 a day, and my budget's 2,000. Now, obviously, it wouldn't make sense for the host to tell him, okay, take the Lambo for 2,000. He'll tell him, listen, boom, uploads a picture. This is a Bentley I have listed in my fleet. You can check it. Just swipe right. This is a car that's going for 1,800 a day. Maybe it's a better choice for you.
Hmm.
That ability of shifting and changing and intertwining between different options to sell is
That's
something that,
incredible.
you
That's
know what I mean?
incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, you as a business owner, you don't have to fight with the customer to book your vehicle. You don't have to
Mm.
undersell or take a hit. No, you have the ability to showcase your entire fleet and say, okay, if this doesn't work for you, I have this available. If
Yeah.
it doesn't work for you, I have that available.
And do the live change on the platform
Everything
as you
is
wish.
real time. Like if the price is 600, all the owner has to do is go to my garage, update his price to 500, submit. Within 5 seconds, he just refreshes the page. The price is now 500.
Mm.
There's no contact you rent. There's no please change the price. There's none of that.
It humanizes the that whole experience, Omar, because people are so used to, well, I'm talking to some anonymous platform, that's just out there, and now you've got a person on the other side of this interaction who's actually conversing with you about this particular deal, and they're flexible. It's their car; they can make that call. That's absolutely amazing.
Exactly. So you get
Yeah,
my point. You get
yeah.
my point, and I cannot begin to tell you, man. I cannot begin to tell you just how much it chokes me to kind of try and spoon feed this information to VCs. I mean,
Mm,
anyone outside this region completely understands this concept, is completely sold on it. But
mm.
here, I'm just like kind of like I'm paving the way for every other business that's gonna do what I'm doing in
Yeah,
the future. There's always
yeah.
that Uber's done it. It
Right.
took Uber 12 years.
Hmm.
12 years and billions, not millions, billions in funding to record their first profitable year, which was a year.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So
No,
12 years
it's
of
it's a long
burning.
slog, eh? It's
Yeah,
a long slog. Yeah. Omar, okay, so yes, thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. It's absolutely amazing, and I'm very excited for you for the RTA deal. I think that's going to really lift the game for everybody in Dubai
appreciate
in
that.
terms of the rental space. Just on a personal note, you've gone through this journey now as an entrepreneur, for so many years. Is there a piece of wisdom that you have for us, or for entrepreneurs on this journey, that you want to share?
Definitely, I think it's a one simple take home message. A, if you're disciplined, discipline is probably the only thing that you need to master is discipline. Not consistency or persistence, because these die down. Like I can be consistently going to the gym for a month and then I could just fall out. But if
Mm,
you're disciplined, where you make it a solid pillar of your life to go to the gym for a whole year, then I promise you, you will go to the gym every single day, unless you're on your deathbed in the hospital, trying to recover from a flu. You know what I mean? So
mm,
that's one. Discipline is a very important factor, and there's so many ways you can practice discipline. But another very very important one is you will never fail unless you fold. What I mean by that is simple. Life will keep throwing things your way to where it may look like you're doing the wrong thing. It may look like you're going down the wrong path because one plus one is two. Okay, if the universe slash God, whatever anyone believes in or uses as a source of higher power, whatever he has written for me, I mean, if it was meant for me, it would have been easy. No, that's not the way they
Mm,
should look at it. What's meant for you is instilled in your brain to pursue as a purpose. But
mm,
the pursuit of your purpose has a price. And the
mm,
price is paid with wisdom, and wisdom comes from experience.
mm.
Meaning, unless you reach a point where you're wise enough to deserve a certain blessing, that's only when you'll receive it. So if you're stuck in a dead end and you think that that's the end of the road, I'll be the first one to tell you that I launched my business with $80,000 in debt, no money to put fuel in my car, and one employee that was leaving in a week because I couldn't
Mm,
afford it. And I took it live. I launched the business.
mm.
So usually, rather than looking at what's wrong with what you're doing, look at what you can change in your environment, in yourself, in what you're doing to overcome a plateau. Because again, plateaus exist in everything in your life, whether it's
Yeah.
weight loss, building a business, you'll always plateau. And I actually watched something the other day, and it's crazy. It says you plateau because subconsciously your brain knows you're gonna wake up at 6 a.m. You're gonna go have that coffee at 7 a.m. You're gonna go to the gym at 8 a.m. and then you're gonna do the same thing that you've done yesterday from 4 to 7 p.m. The day you wake up and you decide I'm gonna confuse my brain, I'm gonna do something completely different,
Hmm.
is the day everything changes in your environment. Believe it or not, like with me, going back to when I launched my business, I thought wake up every day, message investors on LinkedIn. That's the highest chance I have of raising money. Did that
Right.
for 8 long, painful months with zero results.
Yeah.
When I woke up one day and decided, you know what, I'm tired of being the guy that's been talking about launching a startup for 3 years and hasn't taken it live. I don't
Hmm.
care anymore. I'm taking it live, even if I go bust, I'm taking it live. The day I confused my subconscious mind and have done something initially I wasn't even comfortable doing or even secure doing is the day the universe looked down at me and said, well done, Omar. You've finally done what we want you to do.
You finally learned the lesson. Yeah.
We shall now provide what you want.
Wow. That's amazing.
You know what I mean? And here's the thing, I want everyone to look at it and apply it in everything in their life. Sometimes you have the wrong partner in your life, whether it's a spouse, whether it's a wife,
Mm.
whether it's a girlfriend. And let's just say you're in a place in your life where you're stuck, you're
Yeah.
not satisfied, you're not happy, you guys are fighting a lot, things
Yeah.
that's off, you're not doing well at work, and then you keep thinking that the problem is you, the problem is you,
Hmm.
I'm wrong, and it takes you into a deep deep rat hole of depression.
Yeah.
Whereas I've witnessed it firsthand through friends, where you only translate, for example, I'd give you this scenario of being with someone or having the wrong partner.
Mm.
The hardest thing for you to do is leaving that partner, right?
Yeah.
You go like this, I'm going to do everything I can to keep this partner as toxic and as bad as it is. I have this
Yes.
attachment. But the day you decide to get rid of this partner and go on your own, it's going to be the most painful day for you. But it's then going to be the day where the universe looks down at you and tells you, well done, Omar. You've done what you needed you to do.
Yeah.
And it bless you with a better partner, a better life, a better
Yeah.
business. This is
Yeah.
how life works. This is how life works. Whenever I find myself stuck, I'm constantly thinking about what else can I do to confuse my regimen, my routine, my day to day, Um, and again, here's the thing: the only difference between me and other people is the risk that you take. Because I've taken uncalculated, unreasonable risks in my life,
Yeah.
but again, I paid the price for that. Like
Sure.
there's a price you pay, but then there's a reward that comes after it. So yeah,
Yes.
long story short, you there's no such thing as failure. Everything is a lesson, and as long as you keep marching,
Mm.
as long as you keep moving forward, if it's not within the business itself. Another quick story for you is I had a friend who owned a restaurant chain, basically a restaurant chain, and when COVID hit, he was about to shut down. He was closing down branch by branch, 3 locations, closing one location after the other, and he was in his worst position. But I've never seen a man fight this much. He's liquidated everything he had. He's even put his own family at risk, like in terms of like financially. He's went all in, all in.
Mm.
Now, what I can assure you is if you show or case effort energetically between you and yourself spiritually, and you push it up there, and obviously, believe it or not, there is a higher power watching your efforts. What ended up happening with him is, unfortunately, his restaurant chain failed,
Mm-hmm.
they all closed down. But during that fight, he's met someone who came to have a meal in his restaurant, who had like Michelin star chains of restaurants in Europe,
Mm-hmm.
decided to pick him up as a partner to manage and run all his restaurant chain, Michelin star restaurant chains in Europe. And now he's a shareholder with him, a partner, and is making 10 times the money that
Wow.
he's making owning these restaurants. So here's what life, you cannot be focused on an outcome. You need to believe that you're going to make it somehow, some way, some way it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Don't be focused on the result.
Yeah. You know what? I can fully confirm what you're saying there in terms of, I've been on my own journey with this, with my business, and that's the way it is. You just got to keep at it, and trust in the universe that somehow, you're going to find your way. And as you were talking, there's, I think it's one of the, it's a Russian philosopher, I think, that said, when the student's ready, the teacher comes. The teacher
100%.
arrives, right?
100%.
And
100%.
it's something like that. It's you've got to, but that's where the courage comes in. And I think that what you've said, I want to kind of summarize with courage, because it takes courage to be disciplined. It takes courage to keep on keeping on. Um,
Uh,
and
yeah, and here's the thing, man. I'll also one last take home message is the universe loves those who are stubborn.
mm,
What I mean by that is sometimes those people who keep going
mm,
despite whether it makes sense or not, and are just keen and are just, again, what's the most important factor, and what the deciding factor on whether you're going to make it or not is something only you know, and it's your
yeah,
intention. If
yeah,
you have a positive pure intention, you're driven by a positive pure intention with what you do,
hmm,
promise you will not fail. But if you have a hidden agenda in whatever you do, then I
hmm,
can somewhat assure you that not only will you not make it, but you will be embarrassed by the universe. Like you will be put in a situation where you're out in the open, flat out. You know what I mean? So
mm,
intention is everything. You have to set out and that's why a lot of people say you need to set your intentions before you start anything, because yeah, it's true. If Omar's intention was, oh, I want to start Urent because I want billions so I can go buy cars, and I was never going to make it. If I said
right,
my intention was I want to build something so great that the rest of the world is going to remember me for it,
hmm.
intention.
And then the billions of is just a byproduct of that.
Exactly, but should never be the
Yeah,
focus.
yeah. Omar, I loved talking to you. Thank you so much for making the time today. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right. We'll talk soon. Take
Yes.
care.
Take care. See you. Bye bye.
Cheers.